Got to get a cool intro to this show. We got to get we need a girl to say it for us.
You know what? No. You know what I want? If we
What?
let's say ideal situation, which is not going to happen, but ideal. I want like '90s Disney intro. Like, remember the cartoons?
Oh, no. I thought of it. Dude, can we get is OJ doing cameos?
Oh my god, that would be good. We
Is
should
OJ
do that.
doing cameos? Oh, God.
Oh my god, we should just see if we can get a few different high
Killers
profile
doing
fucking murderers.
cameos.
Oh man.
Oh, my God. Welcome to Daddies and Baddies. I'm Braden. This is Andrew.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just be like fucking this is the juice, and I support Daddies and Baddies.
Because they'll have no idea OJ Simpson doesn't do them. I'm sure there's a couple murderers on
Has to
Cameo
be.
we can find, right?
Has to
That we
be.
can find.
I mean, we can find. Is Brandon Dancy still in jail?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's
Poor kid.
yeah, poor kid. He we'll have to talk about that one day. That would have been a good one to talk about. If you're listening to Daddy's Baddies, this is the third episode. You listen. If you're looking for hard facts,
Wrong place.
wrong place.
Wrong
If you're
place.
listening to people who really know the ins and outs of these cases, wrong place.
Yeah.
If you're looking for two people that enjoy murder as much as the next guys and gals, hey, come hang out and talk murders with us. The funny thing with me and Andrew is, and I always I know exactly what you're gonna say whenever we have these conversations. They're always guilty.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think we've ever made it through a Netflix documentary without watching the first episode. Both text each other simultaneously, being like, "Oh, he's guilty." 100%.
Yeah, guilty as
Did it.
fuck,
Yeah,
100%.
did it, 100%.
Yeah, without a doubt in my mind.
I
And
don't
there'll be
think we-
times in some of those where you're like, oh, man, maybe you're like, okay, this is a little weird. And then you're like, I'm still leaning guilty though.
100%. I don't know. What does that say about us as people that we're just like, nah, nobody gets benefit of the doubt?
Well, to be fair, I would give the benefit of the doubt, but I always picture me in these situations, and I like to think of okay, I am just a regular person, right? And what would I do as a regular, thinking rational person? What would I do in these situations? And a lot of times these Netflix documentaries, you're just like, yo, what are you doing?
Oh yeah.
What are you doing? I was like, so instantly I go, well, that is what I would do if I was guilty.
100%.
Because I'd be so nervous and shit, and then I'd be acting like you.
Here's my problem too. It's at the end of the day, I'm not gonna name names here, but when they're giving you you have two options here. One is a guy has been tied to two murders already that happened the exact same way, or the only other option is that a fucking owl flew out of nowhere and clawed someone's head and murdered
Buddy,
them.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I wanted to talk about today.
Are you
Our
serious?
boy Michael Peterson.
No way.
Yeah, Michael Peterson.
That is fucking weird.
Who I wanted to talk about this one because me and Andrew did a deep dive years ago on Michael Peterson because we wanted to start. We wanted to start some sort of murder pod, but then it's just too hard with ATT and life to do these deep dives and then find the time to record. So what ended up happening is we would do a deep dive and be like, we're ready, and then schedules or something would get in the way, and then be like, okay, well, I need to re-dive in just to refresh. And then while the one person was re-diving to get ready, the other person's like, you know what, shit, maybe I need to re-deep dive. So that's what's perfect about Daddies and Baddies is we're in the shallows. We're wading the shallows here, right? Dipping the toes in. Michael Peterson, if for those of you who don't know, there is a fucking phenomenal true crime documentary, The Staircase, which is fucking insane. First off,
So crazy.
December 9th, 2001, North Carolina, 911 gets a call from Michael Peterson saying, hey, my wife's had a fall. I need help. Please come help. Pretty much in the cadence I'm saying it now. And so they go out there and they find Kathleen Peterson at the bottom of the staircase. And dude, when I tell you a grisly scene, fucking unbelievable.
Blood everywhere.
Everywhere. The
Which
walls,
is the case a lot of times for head injuries. Head injuries bleed like a motherfucker because
Oh yeah, man, I watch wrestling.
well, yeah, so but like your head, you don't have the vasospasm mechanism in your head and your scalp mostly, right? So like usually when you have a wound, your body's they make a spasm obviously and just fucking try to clot, like help clot, where in your head it doesn't do that at all. So like you get people like elderly people, they fall and they can't get up and they will just lie on the ground and fucking bleed for hours, especially if they're anticoagulated. Like it's fucking.
And I mean, I bet there's some people who like, because in my head, like, you know, a fall from the stairs, I think in my head, okay, you fall, you hit your head, blood's pooling out, and it's pooling down the stairs. Sure, like a really heavy, you know, head hit. And I think that's what a lot of people picture in their head, is that like big pool of blood under someone. But like you can look at these crime scene photos and trigger warning. Fucking everything in this show should be a trigger warning. We're talking about fucking people murdering
Oh yeah, people are dying. Don't listen to this if you don't want.
You know what?
I'll tell you
Fuck
right now.
Trigger warning. You know why you're here, you sick fucks.
This is fucking like Dan won't listen to this, right? That should be your warning. If you share a tasteful fucking, you know, distaste of fucking true crime, don't listen. Yeah. It's not gonna be good. Yeah. It's not good.
Now the scenes of this is like, it is shocking. It is shocking.
It looks like there's an arterial bleed, right? Like you see there's splatter, there's spray, like it looks like she sprung a leak.
Like everywhere. And just to remind everyone, like when he calls, he says, "I have found my wife at the bottom of the stairs, dead. Yeah. I found her like this."
Very tactful. Hey,
right?
The way he kind of describes it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "I've found her. She's dead at the bottom of the stairs," right? And he's like, "Oh, cool." Do you remember? I actually was trying to wrap my brain last night of like when authorities, I think immediately were suspicious.
Oh shit! Yeah. Well, I mean, like, listen, I don't want to get ahead of things here, but all you gotta do is run the fucking guy's name, and you'd be like,
Well, it's a little more difficult than that because different countries. But the thing is like she had a lot of lacerations, and like from, you know, detectives and stuff as they go to different things, I imagine you get a feel for things like when you look and you're like, okay, like I've seen this kind of before, but this woman looked like she had been savagely beaten.
Yeah, right? I mean, like it's literally like, not to sound like a piece of shit here, but it's like if you were to take Michael Peterson's you know, story and account, it's like she hit every single fucking stair on the way down, every stair
with a different portion of her head on the way down.
Like absolutely.
With the evidence to support that she didn't hit any stairs. Like that's the problem, right?
It would be like if you just like fucking dropped a severed head down a fucking set of stairs.
Yeah,
the way it fucking just like bouncing, you know, like it just doesn't really add up. Doesn't really make sense. I've seen people post stair fall, and I've never seen anything like that.
Now, so one of the things that like I remember, so like right away, this blows up. Like he was kind of like a who's who in town. She was a who's who in town. I can't remember. She was
for mayor or some shit of the town.
Yeah, and she was a psychiatrist.
He was an author, right?
That's right. He was a novelist. Yeah. And then she was a psychiatrist or something. I can't quite remember what she did. But they were like, you know, they weren't poor people. They were like lived in a fucking nice house in town, right? Yeah. They, you know, people knew of them. They were like
socialites.
You know, socialites of the town. So this was like a shock, and obviously like rattled this community in North Carolina. Is that what it said?
Yeah.
And so this is like right away. It's like, you know, press is all over this, like, holy shit, they think the husband did it.
Well, his behavior after was super bizarre. Like you say, like he was very tactical initially on the phone, and then it ramped up substantially. Like by the time that EMS got there, like he wouldn't even let EMS assess her at the beginning, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like he interfered, holding her.
It was weird.
And then it comes out that they ping this fucking... Dude, I fucking love cell phone technology. They like figure out, I don't know how they fucking figured it out, but baseline on the timeline that he fucking he would have found his wife and then went for a cool leisurely walk out to his pool deck to call 911, leaning over the rail of his deck, talking to 911.
You gotta decompress.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's normal, isn't it? Maybe hack a quick dart, kind of fucking just, you know? Well, no, it's not like she was bleeding to death, right? Like it wasn't urgent.
As a rational person, I would in my head I would think in that situation is, okay, well, if they're still alive, like, you know, or there's a chance, you know,
She was still alive.
I might have to perform CPR, right? I'm going to need to be beside 911's going to talk me through what to do, right? Because you're not a fucking doctor. Even though someone may have the appearance that they're dead, like, maybe there's a chance. You don't fucking know.
But
right?
even
and this is your wife.
That's what I mean. Like, this could be her last minutes of life. She's clinging to whatever she has left, and you spend that time to fuck off and, you know, shoot the breeze real quick and just relax. Like, I don't know. Bizarre.
Yeah, it's
the only thing more
very
bizarre is his like oldest son. Watch the fucking documentary if you don't know. That guy's a fucking serial killer too, for sure.
Yeah, didn't he call in a bomb threat to a school?
Yeah, I don't know. And just
Something.
that whole family's fucking weird.
So right away they're like, "Okay, well, we don't know what this guy would have like hit his wife with. Like, we have no idea."
Certainly not the fucking staircase.
Right? Yeah, they're looking for a fire poker or whatever. The other thing they find right away is they obviously take his clothes, right? Mm-hmm. And they take all the clothes, and they find out that he's changed his clothes, and the original clothes he was wearing, because they know that because they find some of Kathleen's blood inside his shorts, not on the outside, up the legs of the shorts.
So which made, like, he took them off, obviously, right?
Yeah, he took them off, right? He took them off afterwards and then changed. But then, so prosecutors are saying, like, well, you would get that, you know, you could get that from hitting someone and the blood splattering and you're standing over them because she was on the stairs, right? And you're whacking and the blood is splatting up your short legs.
It's either that, right? Or I would say, like, as you pull your shorts down, you know how they kind of go inside out, right?
But it wasn't pooling; it was splatter, right? That was the difference. Is they said they didn't, because it's not like it absorbed; it was splatter, like just little bits on the inside.
So this guy's already. They're like, okay, there's a lot of suspicious shit going on, and then obviously they start doing a little background digging on this guy, and you know, to each their own. But it sounds like he had some extracurricular activities that might have not went over very smoothly with his recently
he's
ex-wife.
You know, he's not that there's anything wrong with that, but like
if you're married. Yeah, he's married. Like, hey, listen, I'm not going to shit on your sexual orientation, but if you're fucking doing that shit while you're like married, that's fucked up.
So what he was doing, he was a Vietnam. He served in Vietnam. And he came back, and from then he just something in Vietnam, something in Vietnam clicked for him because his search history was all fucking hot, sexy military men, rough and tough, and doing like really hardcore like gay bondage and gay, like, you know, shocking. So now the prosecutor started to lean on this to be like, okay, all right, here. We know what happened. Your wife found out about you're having extramarital affairs because they started
www.gibros.com.
Yeah, they started finding the chat logs and stuff for him, right? And like, so they knew he was meeting up, and he's like, "Yep, I was. In fact, I was meeting up." And like, his family's like shocked. Everyone's shocked. And he's like, and my wife knew. She was totally supportive, had no problems with it at all, was totally into it, and everyone's like her family was like, she would not have been into that. Like, not at all. That would have caused issues. She never mentioned it.
Like, why would you be okay with your significant other, even if, let's say if it's men, women, whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter. You're still like, what? How are you going to be okay with that?
And I imagine like early 2000s too. Like when did 2001, like, what's the stigma of HIV? Like, it's probably on the decline from the late 80s, but I imagine it's still there, right? Yeah. So it's like, and you know,
still extremely homophobic in the early 2000s, right? Like, gay, like saying something was gay was like, oh, that's fucking gay, like it's derogatory. It's like you know, like weird, it's a bad spot.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we've come a long way.
That's always bugged me a little bit because like words can have two meanings. There's nothing wrong with being fabulous. That's gay, right? Fabulous, right?
Well, no, fabulous is good, fun, isn't it? Like
you drive a Ford F-150 that you've put a fucking 13-inch extension on. You got fucking tires that stick out 36 inches out from your frame. That's gay. I mean, that's the other kind. So it's we're just gonna have two meetings. But so he's like, it seems like he's backpedaling. Like, he's looking guilty as shit. The police are still looking for like the type of murder weapon, and the problem they're having is because they're like, the lacerations aren't deep, so they're like, we don't know what she would have been struck with that caused these, because like originally they thought a fire poker, right? Because a fire poker was missing, but they realized that a fire poker would have.
What do they call it again? A blow poke or something?
A blow poker, yeah. Well, no, they thought the fire stick, but then what happened is, obviously they're fucking raiding his properties. Yeah. They find this ceremonial blow poker, which is something that you blow into the end of, and it's like hollow, to stoke a fire. And everyone said that this item was on display in their house, and then all of a sudden it was buried. And I do believe they found some blood drops of hers in the shop where that thing was,
or something.
Where that
it was hidden in the garage, I think. If I remember,
wrapped
I could be wrong.
Wrapped up. And so they're like, okay, what's this thing? And then, family, friends and stuff were like, hey, this used to be on display in the house.
Well, they made it as like a fucking family gift, right? Like, didn't a few other people in the family have it?
Yes.
It was like, I can't remember.
It was like a little bit of not an heirloom or something.
Yeah,
but
it was like a reunion gift or something. They're all fucking weird.
Yeah, very, very strange. But like, it was definitely would not have ended. Like, none of them would have put it in the garage. Like, no, it was meant to be out.
Well, and they realized a fireplace.
And they realized that the hollowness of this tube, when testing, would cause these types of lacerations, where it's not like a lot of superficial because of the weight to it, right? Because it's still firm and you can get a good whack, but it doesn't have that heaviness where it's like cracking the skull, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, sorry, because like if you haven't caught on to this yet, Braden looked into it. I didn't know we were talking about this today.
I told him, I was like, I'm just gonna surprise you with one.
Yeah, and it's weird that I kind of started talking about it.
I figured you would. Because this one was a real catalyst for us.
But did she die from first trauma or blood loss, or what was the cause of death again?
You know what? That's a good question. Give me 2 seconds. I think it was blunt force trauma. Let's see what the official report is. The medical examiner concluded Kathleen had died from lacerations of the scalp caused by homicidal assault.
So lacerations of the scalp would mean that she died from blood loss.
Yes. Yeah. So she had several lacerations from the head that were result of repeated blows with a light yet rigid weapon, which is the blow dart, blow poke. Whatever the fuck it is.
The blow poke, that is like etched into my brain because I had no idea what that fucking was.
Yeah.
I had never even heard of it before.
Yeah. And like the whole time, Michael Peterson's a fucking weird dude.
He's a weird dude.
Super and weird. Then like even the defense team and stuff, they're like, yo, you're a weird dude. Like, can you act normal? And he's like, everything he does is like this weird act. Do you remember the scene where they're like, so what do you do normally? And he's like, oh, I just make little diddlies. And they're like, what do you mean you sing songs? Not really. And he's just walking around, he's going like, I'm like, nobody does that. Nobody does that.
Other than the Scat Man.
Other than the Scat Man. Scat Man Brothers. He's so
a weird guy, man.
Weird dude, right? And it's like, you know what? It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be weird. But here's the thing.
He's off-putting weird, though.
That's the difference. And there's some weird people that for normies like me and we just get red flags instantly. And this is one. This is the type of weird where you go like,
something's off.
Something's amiss here. It's a little bit of that uncanny valley. You know what I mean? Where you're like, there's something there.
I'll be honest with you too. In my I'm right around blow poke time. No, sorry, right around secret fucking Craigslist fucking love affairs that this guy's having and stuff. That's kind of for me when it set me. I was like, nah, the fucking guy's guilty. Like this is around the time where I'm texting you being like, the fucking guy's guilty. But this isn't even as bad as it gets. Like, this isn't nail in the coffin for me yet. But I was like, yeah, this guy's good. For sure.
Now, one of the like he's one of the, you know, the defense has all sorts of arguments, you know, that, you know, there's a lot of their arguments is like due process, like, oh, the police didn't test the shirt. They didn't. The prosecution left out this evidence. One of the pieces that they point to is, they find, which is fucking strange. It is strange. You look it up. They found remnants of fucking owl feathers, and specifically, owl feathers that are on the feet of these fucking specific type of owl that lives in this area. They actually found some of those feathers like in the wounds and on
her hair or something.
In her hair.
Yeah.
And the defense wanted those to be brought into evidence so they could one of their defenses was like, hey, that fucking window was open. Like, is it a ridiculous notion that we find these feathers and that, say, an owl, she was walking up the stairs, as people do, and a fucking owl flew into the house, fucking just grabbed her head, just lacerated her down, threw her down the stairs, fucking clawed her while she was down, and then took off out the window? Like, is that a ridiculous thought? Yes, it is. It is a ridiculous thought. How those feathers got there? Fucking no idea, right? But it's a strange thing, and that was one of the things defense wanted to bring up, is that, like, well, that could have happened. Like, in some, like, how else do you get the owl feathers?
Yeah, I mean,
in those wounds, I have no explanation for that. None.
With that argument, I'd be like, okay, listen, like that's bizarre. I don't know if that casts some doubt for me. But what comes up from this guy's past that makes you say this guy is there is no fucking, this guy's 100% guilty.
Yeah. So
100% guilty.
Right before we get into that, the one thing he has, because I do remember he has a son and a daughter, and he's
got a few extra. He's got, like, they have an extended family though, because didn't she have kids? Like, they have a large group. He's got his own. I think he's got his own 2 boys, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he has 2 boys and a daughter with Kathleen. Yeah. But he has a kid from a previous marriage with a woman named Elizabeth Ratliff, and he is the adoptive parent of Elizabeth Ratliff's daughter.
Yeah.
And who is Elizabeth Ratliff? Well, that is Michael Peterson's first wife. And unfortunately, Elizabeth Ratliff died in Germany in 1985. Exactly, 16 years before the death of Michael Peterson's
How did she die?
Second wife.
How did I forget? How did she die?
How'd she die?
Yeah.
Well, she fell down the stairs.
It's because there's never been more. I'm telling you, this motherfucker probably watched that movie Double Jeopardy. He's like, oh, you can't get in trouble twice for it. There's no way. It's illegal.
It's absolutely, this one, a friend of the Petersons, she was found dead. No. She was a family friend. She wasn't his first wife. That's right. That's what it was. Yeah. It was the family friend. Was found in their home. Right?
And he adopted her kid.
Yeah. And that's it. She fell, hit her head, collapsed at the bottom of the stairs in their house.
What are the chances that the kid that he adopted, maybe that was actually his kid? Maybe him and this chick were having an affair, and she was going to out him.
Well, I've always thought that like, Michael Peterson is the last known person to see her alive before she falls down the stairs.
He killed her.
And I have a sneaking suspicion that she either found out about his extramarital activities with the sexy military, gibros.com, and confronted him, or knew about something and was going to tell his wife, and he pushed her down the stairs. Right?
That honestly, you really think it's a coincidence? Like, that doesn't exist in these situations. It doesn't. I don't give a fuck what this man is guiltier than guilty.
And like, listen, they actually, so she passed away, and they were like, the German authorities were like, okay, like, accidental. That was her cause of death. It was the coroner determined that it was a hemorrhage result in immediate death following Ratliff falling down the stairs after somehow collapsing from an unknown medical event. Now, before the Peterson trial, because when the prosecutors found this out, they like we said, when there's coincidences, the coincidences are real, but I mean,
no,
goddamn, this motherfucker is involved in 2 deaths on a staircase. It'd be different if it was like 2 separate deaths and completely tragic events, but you're like the same fucking cause of death. So
I dialed your phone number fast enough while I'm seeing this, being like,
no. I was like, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
It's like, there's no way.
So it's the crazy thing is like they exhume this lady's body, right? And they perform a second autopsy in April 2003, 18 years after her death. And they had the original medical coroner's reports from Germany, and they had the medical examiner who did Kathleen's brought back in to look at this one to see if there were similarities. And the coroner found sufficient evidence drawn from the results of the second autopsy, along with new witness statements describing the scene, to overturn earlier findings, and he listed Ratliff's cause of death as homicide.
Jesus.
So now you have... now people say, like, part of the defense is like, this guy's just trying to make a name for himself. Like, he's playing judge, jury, and executioner, trying to, like, paint the picture. And if I recall correctly, there was some, like, shady dealings with this coroner. If I recall correctly, of, like, him doing, like, now that I'm thinking back to it, of this coroner actually had some bad calls.
I don't know if it was for some reason I thought there was something to do with the blood spatter expert. I don't remember if it was the coroner or not, but
yeah, there's shady stuff in all this trial. Enough shady stuff in the trial and due process, and that's what we said at the beginning, is that, like, Michael Peterson's defense was really trying to get the defense of, like, the due process was incorrect here.
Yeah,
and
I mean, because that's their only fucking argument. Yeah,
when you watch this, you go like, there is some shady dealings and shadiness on the part of the prosecution and the part of, Was
it shadiness or just like not? I don't want to say malpractice, but just incompetence, maybe.
It's and they always say, I try to remember this: always attribute to incompetence, or always attribute to incompetence. No, never attribute to malice what you can attribute to incompetence. And I think that's a really good quote, because I think a lot of it's incompetence, but it does seem like there's a little bit of malice involved, where you have authorities trying to cover up the incompetence after the fact.
And I feel like
looks...
a lot of times I find, like, in my head almost, I feel like these, in their heads they're like, well, we know we're doing this for the greater good. This guy's guilty, we know it is, so what we're doing is justifiable.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, and that's what I think too. I thought that with the Stephen Avery case as well, and we'll talk about that on a later date. My thing is with this one is, when you watch it, I'm torn. I'm torn by the two wolves inside me. I have, on one side, I go, Michael Peterson did it. Like, 100%. I have no doubt in my mind.
There's no doubt.
Then you watch the documentary and I go, the authorities and stuff are making me believe that this trial is not fair, because they're manipulating evidence and manipulating things to paint a worse picture of Michael Peterson. But the problem is like, one doesn't change my feeling of the other, right? It's like, it's bad on this part, but I have in my head, if I was a juror, I would go, this guy did it. And like 100%. After one of the longest trials in North Carolina history. They found him guilty of the murder of Kathleen.
I thought he took like an offered plea or whatever.
No,
Wasn't it
so
like
they what was it? He appealed. That's what it was. He appealed, right? And he was actually when he appealed 2006, and they said that evidence was, not fairly admitted or whatever. That was the appeal, and it was upheld. And they filed a motion for a new trial, and that was granted. And then Peterson took a sweetheart deal called an Alford deal, which I, to be honest, if I did not do this, I'm not taking this deal.
No,
and this deal basically says you're guilty, but because you're guilty, we're not going to find you. You're not having to admit to anything. You're saying you're guilty, but without having to say you did it. We're going to go with this time you served. You're going to get a lesser sentence, and then away you go. But the Alford plea is still a plea of you did
guilty.
it.
Yeah.
And his excuse was, well, I just want to get out. I'm old now, and I just want to get out. And I'm like, motherfucker, you did it. That's why you're doing that.
Listen, if this guy gets out, which he looks like last time I saw him, this was years ago. I don't know when this came out, but he did not look healthy.
No, he's out.
He's not long for this world.
He was,
but
he's still living, man.
Stay the fuck away from that dude and staircases.
Yeah, he needs ranchers.
Yeah,
it should be court order.
Floor.
Ranchers only. Right?
It's not safe.
No fucking stairs for this guy.
So obviously got the itch.
He was released 2016, 2017. He was out.
Really?
So I don't know where he is or what he's doing now, but
I know where he is.
Yeah.
GIBros.com, man.
Oh yeah, probably living his best life now. But it's that one is so it's such a fascinating case where you have someone where you're like, there is a part of me. I'm gonna say I'm 99.9% sure,
100%,
right, that he did this. But part of me always goes is there a chance that he's just the most off-putting guy I've ever met in my entire life, and that we just attribute that weirdness to him doing this bad stuff? But the problem is someone who's that off-putting doesn't get. I don't think he gets someone like Kathleen, who's this esteemed person. I'm it's just such a weird fucking. I don't
get it. It just the fact that it happened twice. I'm no. There's no benefit out there. You're guilty.
Huh.
You're guilty. 100%.
Yeah.
Right. Whether even let's say even the first one was an accident and he saw it happen and he's like, oh shit, and then he put that in the back of his head and then he's like, I know that fucking people can get away with this. I've seen it happen. It's gonna kill her. It's gonna be fucking bingo bango bongo here.
So what I think happened, you got away with the first one, pushed her down the stairs, and fortunate for him, the murderer in that case, she died on impact. She died hitting her head and then was left and died. Yeah. I think what happened was he pushed Kathleen from the top of the stairs and she did not die.
Yeah, she's looking up right? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's hurt. She's hurt. And I can't remember, but I think I don't think she had other injuries really indicative of falling. But maybe she hit her head and was still alive.
Is weird.
Right? And so now he's like, fuck, what do I do? I gotta fucking get up there. And he grabbed the blowpoke. And because he's not a dumb guy, and he's like, well, if I get the fire poker or something that's supposed to be there, they're going to look for that stuff. What's easily accessible that I could get rid of? And it's not you know what I mean? If you have a fireplace and you have all the fire utensils and you're missing the one iron poker, they're going to go, where's the iron poker? You know what I mean? It's supposed to be there. You have this weird fucking thing that no one's heard of. Okay, I can put that in the garage when I'm done. So I think he beat Kathleen. I think he went up. I think he went, changed his clothes. I think he went, hid the blow poker. Then I think he went and sat on the. On the balcony for a bit. Came in, make sure she was dead. Went back out and called 911. That's what I think happened.
It's crazy,
right? And
that lines up to me, but
no remorse in the guy. And the argument was well, you don't know what it's like Like that was the defense. Like everyone's telling him how he should act. And it's like, no one's telling him how he should act. I think everyone understands that in these kind of processes that are unbelievable, unfathomable, you give benefit of the doubt to people to like have like a wide range of emotions.
Yeah, but not run around your house singing fucking
being weird, like
doodly bullshit.
He's just like, when you watch this, if you watch, I'm curious if anyone watches this documentary and thinks he's innocent. Let us know. I want to know.
There are people like, I think there is a complete yin to our yang, where there's people that watch these documentaries and
Baddies and Daddies
have been like, fucking yeah, you know what I mean?
Mommies and monsters.
Yeah.
Everyone's innocent. But yeah, it's really interesting case. If you haven't watched The Staircase, it's one of those deep dive ones where you start it. It's like 12 episodes, and you're fucking hook, line, and sinker the entire time. Great. The defense team trying to work with Michael, awesome.
The defense, the lawyer, I forget his name, unreal. Guys, that guy was phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, he served what, 84 months in prison, I think. But
that's not enough. He should have died in prison.
Yeah, he should. I think so too. And it's the weird thing is so his kids have stuck by him through and through. His kids. Now
the adopted kid, I think.
The adopted kid of the girl that he pushed down the stairs, fucking excommunicado. She is under the belief that you murdered my mom and fucking took me in. Like, I was in the fucking care of the person who murdered my mom. That is that is some twisted shit.
It's fact.
Right? So it's like her like, because you had like, everyone was kind of like toeing the line, like his family like was supportive of everything, except that adopted daughter was like, he's not like that. That's not how it was like.
Yeah.
Because I think I think the kids say it in there. It's like they've lost their mom. They don't want to lose their dad too. But it's like, yeah, but if your dad's the reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, yeah, there's forgiveness, but you can forgive him in jail. Like, he should pay.
That's 100%.
But, yeah, interesting one. The Staircase, if you're interested in it, you can type in Michael Peterson. There's tons of videos, tons of shit on this guy. The owl theory. I still to this day, I have no idea. I have no explanation for how those feathers got there. And if he didn't have the other staircase death with him so tied, maybe I would be more inclined to be like, could this just be the rarest fucking owl murder of all time? Maybe.
I'd still lean towards guilty, I think.
Me too. Because by his actions, man.
Just
it's
him.
Weird. I mean, we got some other big ones we can talk about that really hooked us in early in our murder days, like Adnan.
Oh, have to take that one.
Yeah,
especially because did he get out?
I think so. I think
he just got out.
I think he got terrible decision. He's guilty.
Yeah.
Stephen Avery, that was a good one. That one caught the nation. I love that people were like, he's such a nice guy. He burned a cat alive.
Yeah, no,
not a nice guy.
Don't do that.
I'm like, guess what? You know what? That is usually an indicator of moving on to humans next.
Yeah,
right.
That's fucked.
Those people who hurt animals usually hurt humans next. Like, they gain pleasure in that. They hurt humans. So yeah, we should just call this show Guilty.
No shit. Absolutely.
All right, but that's a little longer than we normally do. So, check it out. Let us know what you thought. Is there anyone out there who doesn't agree with us and thinks Michael Peterson is innocent? Tell us why. We're interested to know.
And we're taking suggestions too.
I don't want to hear anything. We didn't get all the facts. We told you at the beginning we have none of the facts.
No, this is straight up biased. We have a lack of information, and we don't give a shit. I don't fucking care.
I watched that documentary probably 5 years ago, and that's the information I'm going off of what my memory can remember from that documentary 5 years ago.
I had a quick scan of Wikipedia, and we got a podcast.
I thought Elizabeth Ratcliffe was his first wife. No, it was the family friend. That's right. So, all right, signing off. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we definitely got to do